Hey, it's Alzombo here with another, well actually my first Risk of Rain walkthrough. I love this game, and with the recent 1.0 update I've seen a ton of new players, and having played this since early access, that's amazing to see. Seriously, 3 people made Risk of Rain 2. I appreciate that so much, and that's just tough to get my head around. So I thought I'd make this uncut run as sort of a beginner guide. I'm just going to talk through some of my choices in the game, such as why I choose an item or why I engage combat the way I do. Keep in mind there are a few ways to play this game, it's just about how I go about things. So whether you're new or a vet, let me know what you think in the comments, or go ahead and ask questions, and if you'd like to see more, please consider subscribing. Now let's get started. Alright, I am going to go ahead and stick with Commando. I feel like he's the most used character as he's the only intro character. I'm going to leave his alternate Phase Blast secondary. It just does a lot more damage at close range, so as soon as you unlock it, I highly recommend going with that. The others I will leave on default. You could take either utility, it's just your preference. The special, I don't find the frag grenades to be as useful as stunning any enemy at pretty much any distance, and I will go ahead and leave that on Monsoon. Risk of Rain 2 is a single player or co-op game, so there's really no disadvantage to going Monsoon and just learning how to play at that harder difficulty. It gets you used to it faster. And I've customized my key bindings, and that's something you might want to consider as well. I find side mouse buttons are very helpful, especially compared to using R, which can be awkward if you're kind of moving around at the same time. Alright, so right off the bat I know the teleporter's up there, and that helps me decide what I can loot, which enemies I can engage, how far around I can move. I'm going to go ahead and take out the stone golem, or he will take me out. And you want to watch out for these Lemurians. They're not a particularly dangerous foe, but if you get too used to thinking about that, you'll let a lot of them stack up, and they'll hit you at range, and their fire hurts. Alright, War Banner Printer, that's not really that good. War Banner doesn't scale very well, so it can be pretty helpful in the first or second teleporter fight, but after that you're going to be mobile, you're going to have crazy enemies spawning, you don't really want to stay in that little bubble. So obviously pick it up if you get it, but I would be happy to print it away. And rather than go back for that healing chest, I'm just going to go ahead here and get that regular chest. You want to keep your time as short as possible. Ideally, it would be out of here in 4.5 minutes. Enemies in Risk of Rain 2 scale with time. It doesn't matter if the teleporter is done or not. That difficulty meter in the top right is going to keep going. So don't worry about getting every single item on a stage. That's a helpful little tip there, is to roll up these kind of steep angles, or if you just have good movement speed you can sprint right at them and it'll launch you upward. But keep in mind there is fall damage in this game. Now with what I said with the Lemurians applies double to the Wisps. Do not let them pile up. I know they are not particularly fearsome on their own, but if you have an army of Wisps that could pretty much end your run. So I have an interesting choice here. I love the teddy bear. A chance to block on hits is amazing. It's a very good white item and probably better than the energy drink. But I personally prefer that movement speed because, like I said, you want to keep your time low. And not needing all that time just to move around the map really helps out. So we're going to take them out. Yeah, see, they can pile up fast and they're quiet. Alright, I'm going to try and hide from that bubble this time. It's been taking away most of my health. Alright, the teleporter is fully charged, which means while the difficulty does increase, no more enemies will spawn. I'm going to use that to my advantage and be a lot more mobile here. I don't have to worry about staying inside that red zone. Let's take him out so I don't have to worry as much about ranged attacks. And we'll worry about him when he's around the rock. Yeah, that's a very difficult attack. You want to create as much space between you and the Vagrant as possible or get behind cover. And we're just going to fall off here. And I use that vertical momentum trick to my advantage. Didn't have to worry about fall damage. So if you hit your horizontal movement abilities while you're falling, it'll reset that vertical momentum and you take no damage if you time it properly. We'll cut that out in post. So there is a damage fall off, and you can see my damage increasing as I get closer. Yeah, like I said, that's a huge damage radius. I wasn't even sure I was safe where I was there. And I'm going to make sure I can use the tree here. There we go. And now you probably noticed that my time is pretty bad. And that's not ideal, but resulted in the final boss being defeated, so I'll take it. And rather than loot, even though I'm a little short on items, we're just going to go ahead. So we get out of here in 6 minutes. It's not ideal, but gets the job done. I'll check out this printer. Ukulele printer. This was a tough decision, because the ice band is a very good single target damage item. But the ukulele is the second best AoE item after the sentient meat hook. The meat hook is a red item, so I'm not likely to get it anytime soon. Now what I'll do instead of just printing my ice band is to keep going about the map, maybe grab a couple items if I can, and come back to the printer after. Ideally, I'll have some worse green item that I wouldn't mind losing. If you're not familiar with this game, the printer will take a random item of the same color and turn it into the item listed. So because it's a ukulele, which is a green item, it'll pick one of my green items at random, and because I only have one green item, it will take the ice band. Tri-tip dagger, that's very nice. Those ticks of bleeds help a lot in the early game, and if I can stack them, they'll do damage in the late game. Alright, chests are 66. You'll notice that the amount that the chests are will change depending on how much time it takes you to get to a certain stage. Because I got to the stage in slower time, the chests are 66. If we stick to that 4.5 to 5 minute range, then they're usually in the 50s or high 40s. Elite monsters will give you extra cash, so I'm going to target them whenever possible. Alright, nice, and that'll give us enough for another item. Repulsion armor plate is pretty solid to get. It'll reduce the amount of damage in terms of bleeds, burning, anything like that. It doesn't scale super well, but it's always going to work well on those after hits. Okay, we got another Vagrant fight, which I think I've demonstrated I'm not very good at, but now with the bleeds, it's going to be much, much easier, I think. And on top of that, Wetland Aspect, the stage that I'm on, has a lot more natural cover than the location of the previous boss fight. Yeah, you can see with that bleed, I'm already doing a ton more damage. Alright, now I let the wisp pile up, so I had to get rid of them first. And we'll go ahead and hide. Let's move around to the other side where there should be fewer enemies. There you go. My general playstyle is to prefer damage items over anything else. That doesn't mean you don't take movement or healing items, but damage items are preferred. And you see why there. I don't have any healing items. I have a little bit of movement speed, which did not come into play at all there. And I have a teddy bear, which again did not come into play at all. Just because I had the tri-tip daggers and the ice band, I was able to mow through the boss compared to what we did in stage 1. So I'm going to clean up this a little bit to get some money. And even though we didn't make great time, I want that ukulele printer, so I'm going to go ahead and stay on the stage for just a minute. Try and find some loot, get the ukulele, and get out of here. Now I've got the wax whale, and I want to use that as movement as much as possible. It's a great item for dodging, but also for traversing the map like this. And this is a conundrum I find a lot in this game. You have one item, the wax quail, that you wouldn't mind using to the ukulele printer, and one item, the rune alt band, that would not be ideal to lose. So in this situation, if I print away the rune alt band, then I'll go ahead and print the other stuff too. And we picked up the rose buckler as I talked, so that changes things. I'm going to go ahead and take the risk. And it did not pay off. But the other item is a rose buckler, so I'll go ahead and print it anyway. 3 ukuleles this early in the game is really nice to have. I'm going to rely on bleeds for single target damage for now, and hope that I can find something that'll help. I'm taking a quick look around, I'm not checking every corner of the map, we're already not so great on time. See, there's one here. This isn't too far out of the way, so I'll get it. That's nice. Armor-piercing rounds is very helpful to have. Now, if I'm lucky enough to make it to the Mithrix boss fight, I will do so. But no guarantees. And the reason I bring that up is because the armor-piercing rounds will help you on Mithrix, and that cannot be underestimated. So now we'll get to see a lunar shop. Now for the red item in here, I have enough items if I trade them all in to print the red item. So it's going to have to be a very good item. And it is not. Now the Dio's best friend is pretty good, don't get me wrong. But it does nothing until you die. Then it comes into effect and it does save your run, but then it goes back to doing nothing again. It's just not an ideal item for a red. I'd rather have a clover, a meat hook, ceremonial daggers, and we won't pay for any of the extra stuff here, except the focus convergence. I recommend getting 1 stack of this and 1 stack only. It'll make the teleporter smaller, but make it charge faster, so your time is improved a lot. Okay, Scorched Acres, which is probably my least favorite map of the game. Just the way it's so split up and separated, it's hard to see the sparks, although, ironically, there they are right now. I do need equipment, so we're going to remember that this is here. I'll mark what's in here. Although none of these are particularly useful, it's still better than nothing. And you can see the power of the ukulele. Remember when I said prioritize wisps? That's usually true, except when this guy shows up. He is the single most annoying non-boss enemy in the game to me. He shoots small projectiles that are hit scan at huge ranges. So even late in the game, when you think you're really strong, he can end your run. Yeah, that blade is coming in really handy right now. Alright, I'm going to take the backup mag. It's really helpful to have that extra shot. Commando doesn't need so many backup mags like someone like Huntress or Artificer would, but a couple will really help his DPS quite a lot. And see, just those few bleeds makes a world of difference. Alright, we're going to go ahead and just hit the teleporter now. Alright, that's not an ideal fight. I don't have a lot of built-in dodging. But I'll do what I can. So for dodging those spikes, it's a lot easier to move forward and back in relation to the Imp Overlord than it is side to side. They move in a, or they're laid out in a side to side range, so you want to move against that crane. So remember, if he's throwing those spikes down, either ideally back up from him or move closer to him if you can't jump a couple times with the Hopoo feather. Yeah, unlucky there. I got the movement right, but I didn't jump properly, so you can still get hit. Old War Stealth Kit, not that great, but it'll come into handy. I have been saved by the Stealth Kit before. So now see how much faster that teleporter is charging than it would otherwise. That's why I like this item, but notice how small the zone is. It'll keep getting cut in half, and it gets tiny at the higher stacks, like 2 or 3. It caps at 3. Alright, we'll take a quick look around. That's a lot of beetle guards that I'm going to avoid. I really won't gain anything by fighting them. Alright, I'm going to take a risk at this equipment multi-shop and go for the question mark. I don't have any items that'll use the Forgive Me Please, and the backup really doesn't help that much. This is pretty good. Missile launcher. Cooldown's not bad, the damage is decent. It's just not quite as good as some of the other equipments because you rely on the game's auto-targeting, which is kind of not great. It'll go for the wrong enemies, it'll hit walls. This is, wow, that is amazing to get. So the Shattering Justice reduces armor per hit until you see it gets its max stack and they get a debuff. It is a great item to get on anyone, but Commando especially gets a benefit from it. Alright, take this quick pad over here, grab these two. I won't even bother with that third one. Let's get out of here. Oh, we have another equipment. Let's check it out. I think there might be enough that I could kill something. But the items aren't worth it, so we're going to move on. Now there's a lot of items in Risk Rain 2. I couldn't possibly talk about the values of each one compared to the values of each other one. If you're looking for more resources on how to get better at the game, I recommend places like Reddit. There are various Discord servers, such as the official Risk of Rain 2 Discord server. Wooly Gaming is a streamer that you might want to check out, and I will also eventually be streaming. Just working on a few technical things there. Alright, so it's not ideal on stage 4 when these caves are open. On each stage there are variants. Sometimes the cave's open, sometimes it's not. When it is open, it means items can spawn in here, which kind of spreads out the pool of items. When it's not open, it's just a smaller area that the items can spawn, so you can move through a lot quicker. He's not bothering me. Okay, yeah, he is. Yeah, you'll see I got right up to him before I did the missile launcher, because I don't want those missiles targeting anything else. I don't know this for certain, but they seem to target whichever enemy is closest. And I need that brass contraption out of here, or it will kill me. Alright, I don't love the shield generator, but I'll go ahead and pick it up. Hopefully we can find a scrapper or a crit printer. Crit is the single best white item in the game. It is worth losing any of these items for, but I'm going to try and find a scrapper so I can choose which items I lose. Now first let's take care of the Stone Titan. Or he's going to put up those little rocks all over the map while I'm trying to fight other enemies. Take an ATG. Really nice single target damage, that's what I was lacking. Now I made a mistake there, the fireworks went for him. Yep, he's about to laser. If you don't attack him, he won't start his laser. And if you stay under him, he won't laser. So ideally you don't hit him at all until you get right up in his junk, and then start firing. Down he goes. So this is why I'm trying to find a scrapper. I want that crit very badly, but my bleed is doing a lot of damage right now. We will take the challenge of the mountain when I get over there. General rule of thumb for me, I take every challenge of the mountain. I don't care when I get it. I will take it every time. My thinking is either you run as early so you don't really lose anything other than the 5 minutes you've been playing, or you run as late and you want to get that higher reward and you think you have the damage for it. I always take every shrine of the mountain, no exceptions. Alright, the meteor is not very good. I don't want to damage myself. We'll check out this other lunar pod. Shaped glass. That's not so good anymore. I'm actually going to take a chrono bubble. With the 1.0 update, shaped glass was nerfed to take away your one-shot protection. So if you're at or above 90%, you cannot die to a single instance of damage. But with shaped glass, it removes that because it was just too overpowered to have all that damage, but one-shot protection was not working. Alright, I'm going to leave that multi-shop alone, even though the Will of the Wisp is an amazing item. But now we're at stage 4. We're going to be working towards stage 5 and the boss very soon, and I want to start thinking about that. Will of the Wisp does nothing against the final boss, unless you have a Forgive Me Please, which is also otherwise useless unless you have Will of the Wisp, or Ceremonial Daggers. And as I don't, we're going to avoid it entirely. Sticky Bomb, decent damage. I think what I'll do is do the boss fight before the crit printer. Oh, that's great. When you can't find a scrapper in this situation, the next best thing is to just keep getting white items and dilute your white item pool, and hopefully it doesn't take my bleed. There's a lot of enemies piling up, so I'll use the missile launcher. And there are a lot of enemies dead. Hopefully another white item. No. Oh, but that's very good. This is why I took the Chrono Bauble. When you put 4 or more debuffs on an enemy, they'll start to take 50% extra damage. That is huge, especially against Mithrix. So now I have Bleed, Shattering Justice, and Chrono Bauble. I have the gas can, which will help during groups, but it won't really be so good if I'm just fighting one target like this. You'll see everything I had procced, but it did not do the death mark because he was not on fire. Alright, we've now circled around the entire map except the center and that top phase. And these combat trends are nice. If I need more money to get the legendary chest, I have the option to do so. And because the boss is a challenge of the mountain, it might be wise to get that legendary first. Well, there's your Will of the Wisp. Alright, currently I have 15 white items. I'll take the attack speed, no need to get fancy there. Now I have 16 white items. I'm going to print 9 pairs of crit. So I'm going to lose a bleed. I fully expect to at least lose one, probably 2. Hopefully I can at least keep 1. That's not ideal. My white items are actually pretty decent, but like I said, crit is the single best white item, so it doesn't matter what I lose, it's worth it. Alright, we're hanging on to 2 bleeds, that's good. Losing the brooch hurts, but that's okay. That's also fine. And there we go, we cut 2 bleeds, awesome. So typically it takes 10 pairs of crit to get 100% crit chance. However, there are 2 other items in the game, Predatory Instincts and Harvester's Scythe, which will give you a hidden 5% chance to crit. So you only need 9 pairs of crit. Alright, the Magma Worm, I'm going to have to stay mobile. You don't want to be in that little group there. That's why I get hit once, and there goes half my health. So now I don't have one-shot protection. I need to keep moving. Take little shots when I can, but otherwise just keep going. I currently don't have any healing items. So the best I can hope for is that my teddy bear will prevent damage from happening, but since damage has already happened, that is not helpful. Let's go ahead and take that. If I'm going to be running around, I might as well mark spots where there's loot. Okay, large chest, damage chest. This Hopoo feather is going to help out a lot. Alright, this is a decent spot to fight. It's a nice open area, and it has a ledge, so if I need to make an escape, I'll just go. Alright, let's go. Get a little charge while I'm here. But the worms are coming, so we'll keep moving. Alright, another open area, but there's no quick escape here, so I'll just have to play it very conservatively. Alright, we need to keep moving. There's really nothing I have that'll help me here. Get the missile launcher, just use it right off cooldown, get rid of anything I can. Now, I didn't quite see, I believe it was the brass contraption that hit me. And you might notice it's very hard to see the things that the hermit crabs launch, so the sooner you can get rid of those guys, the better. The worms are coming again. I'm doing great damage, no problem there. So if I can keep my space, get rid of those little targets that might hit me while I'm not paying attention, I'll win this fight. Those imps make it extremely dangerous just to be on the ground. But there's not much I can do about it right now. Oh, that helped a lot. The Will-o'-the-Wisp just did so much for me right there. Combined with the missile launcher, obviously. Now, I'm not comfortable staying in that zone until this magma worm is dead. I know there's a brass contraption somewhere around besides the one I just killed. I believe he's off there. Yeah, there he is. Alright, let's see if I can get a little charge here. Oh no, that might... Oh, we're still alive. Alright, so I'm going to get to this open spot. My missile launcher is almost back, and hopefully the worm follows me closely enough. Now my strategies are starting to work against me. I need to stay out of the zone to avoid the worm, but now, because I'm doing that, I can't fully charge a teleporter, and enemies are piling up. So now I need to get rid of that worm. Alright, we're almost there. No need to get fancy now. It's almost dead. There we go. Gonna use that as cover, sneak under here. That's a very good item to get. That will burn enemies, so I can proc Death Mark. So you'll see I'm using my Hopoos immediately. I want to get that second jump, create space between me and the imps. They can't hit me when I'm up here unless they ramp off with something. I'll go ahead and use equipment. Alright. I'll ignore those for now. Let's go get my red item. Go up and get that large chest and get out of here. So when you get to Mithrix, although I'm losing confidence that we will because of the time, you'll get to a last stage where he takes all your items. Now the items that he returns to you as you damage him are the ones that you most recently acquired. So that is one area where we're getting kind of lucky here. Look at my most recent items. They include a bleed, they include the Death Mark, and the Chronobauble. So immediately we'll already get, burn Death Mark and Chronobauble. So we'll pretty soon get items that can proc the Death Mark, even though it'll take a while to get the tri-tips back. That's not bad, but it takes a little while to fire, and I don't have any healing, so it's not really going to help me until I can find some items that will use it. I'm actually going to take the stealth kit. It would have helped. I mean, it did help, but it'll give me a little bit longer of invisibility and extra movement speed. And now let's get out of here. Again, I'm not going to go through and check that I got every single thing. It's not important. My time is starting to get a little out of hand now. You can spend a little extra time on stage 4. Because that's where you'll get most of your green items and red items. But because I didn't make very good time on the other stages, I don't have that luxury here. Predatory Instincts is very good. We'll try and find a scrapper and print one of those. That'll give me 5% crit, and each crit will give me extra attack speed. So if I can compare that with a Scythe or even a Leeching Seed, then we are in business. Again, I use it as close to him as possible. And keep moving around so he can't hit me. Always be moving in this game. I'm going to make him my priority 1. He's close enough to the wisps that the ukuleles can get them. And there you go. That's exactly what happened. Let the Frost Relic do a little damage. I'm not too concerned about him. And we have healing. Medkit's not the best healing, but it'll get the job done. And hey, if you don't like it, you don't have to pick it up. Alright, that is a Blazing Elder Lemurian. I'll try and avoid him for now. We're not going to start the boss just yet. There's a lot of loot on this stage, so similar to stage 4, you can spend a little extra time here. Plus, for the purposes of this video, I want to get to that boss fight, and we're not ready for that yet. Alright, I'm going to leave that on the ground. And you'll see me leaving some items on the ground this stage, which is a bit unusual. Like I said before, when you fight Mithrix and he takes all your items, he'll first give you back the items that you most recently acquired. There is no benefit in me getting a crowbar back early. So if I find a scrapper, I will pick it up, otherwise I'm not going to touch it. Nothing here. And especially on this stage, you need to use these launch pads to your advantage. That covered. Yes, it got me up here, but look at the horizontal distance that it covered. Huge time saver. Alright, I'm going to check the equipment multi-shot there. And then potentially start the boss. And we do have a scrapper, so I can pick up anything now. Now remember what I said with stage 4 and 5 you can spend extra time looting, because these are very good stages. They will make you stronger if you can deal with the more difficult enemies that they spawn. You'll remember where we were right before the magma fight started? Had some good damage, had crit and bleed, but it wasn't enough for that magma worm. Now I can handle that much, much easier. See if I can get enough here. I can. Grab that item, which is a very good item, and we'll get out of here. I'm still going to be looking for equipment after the boss, but we'll worry about that later. And that Elder Lemurian is somewhere around here, so let's not forget about him. Or her. Was that him up there? Yes, it was. That's actually not bad. He will follow a very tedious path to get down here. So I can worry about him later or fire from a distance. This is an example of letting your items do the work for you. I really haven't been prioritizing the actual boss, but I'm letting the ukuleles start to tickle them for damage before I move in for the kill. The ukuleles can proc my other items, meaning they can get the death mark started. That's all I need. Now let's say I didn't have the ukuleles during that boss fight. I do have 2 will-o'-the-wisps, so I would be targeting smaller enemies like that wisp, like some of these mushrooms, try to kill them, and let the wisp start to damage the bosses. It's all about knowing what items you have and how to use them. Okay, looks like they're stuck up there pretty much, and I've already been up there, so I have no benefit in engaging them. I should have enough money for whatever I need. Except now that I'm up here, they might be able to track me over. We're going to wait for this chant shrine. I'd rather do things that guarantee me items. But if I've exhausted the map, or I feel like I'm doing poorly on time, which I am, but it's fine, then we'll come back and do the chant shrine on the way out. Now you might think it's bizarre to take scrap as I'm about to end the game, but similarly, Lunar Bazaar, the final world has printers where you can exchange 3 whites for 1 green, or 5 greens for 1 red. So if you have an item that is not going to help you fight the boss, just use the printer. And I'm glad I came back here because now I remember we have this. That is amazing and something I need for sure. It's also worth noting there is currently a bug in Risk of Rain 2. So if I have, let's say, one green scrap and I try to take that red printer, it should take the one green scrap and 4 of my green items. Instead, it just makes 4 other green scrap appear out of nowhere and gives you the red. I will try not to take advantage of that. But hey, winning is the most important thing, so I'll do what I gotta do. That doesn't help in the boss fight. No chance I'm standing still, so get rid of the fungus. I won't really be killing things, so we can get rid of the monster tooth. Let's take a look. Everything else in my inventory? Yeah, we'll get rid of the fireworks too. That'll give me enough for a green printer. Again, I didn't need to engage combat with him, but you might as well. Just in case you're busy printing and you're not paying attention and they come up and shoot you. I have died in very silly ways in this game. It's another monster tooth and a med kit. So we'll get rid of the monster tooth, because again, I don't want Mithrix to hand me back a monster tooth first thing as we're in the middle of the fight. So based off of what we're going with right now, the first things I'll get back are the Predatory Instinct, the Goat Hoof, the Fire Band, all very good items. Actually, what I should do is get to that Chant Shrine. Again, I'm taking my time. It's okay. This equipment isn't great against Mithrix. I'd rather have a Sawmorang or a Royal Capacitor. Yeah, see? No guarantee you get an item out of this. Absolutely take that. Yeah, we'll take that and scrap it. I don't quite remember what was in this. Let's check it out now that we have movement speed. And this is why I was singing the praises of movement speed earlier. Normally you can't loot very much because it just kills your time so bad. But now that I have movement speed, it's really not hurting my time as badly as it should. We've only lost a couple minutes after all this looting that I've already done. Alright, I'll go ahead and take one of these. And move on. One should be fine. Actually, with bleed, let's go ahead. Let's take 2. Medkit printer, that's not bad. Shape glass, no thank you. Slug is pretty good to get. Alright, oh, we do have a couple things. Alright, so what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and print. Let's do 2 medkits. Because I'm going to print the fresh meat, or I'm going to scrap the fresh meat, so that'll get me back up to 3 scrap for the printer. Perfect. And then we'll get out of here finally. Now, despite this being a guide for beginners, there's no guarantee I'm going to beat the boss. I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to start a new run if I don't die here and upload that run. You're going to die in this game a lot. It just happens. It's best to learn from your mistakes rather than pretend they didn't happen in the first place. So if I die, we'll take a cut and we'll look at what happened. Shield gen, scrap it away. Oh, and I'm out of money. Now, if I wanted to, I could get some money. But that, now you're talking about actually quite a bit of time, so let's not worry about that unless these happen to get me a lot, and they don't. I forgot about the crowbar. It's no big deal. Let's just get out of here. Alright, 43.5 minutes. Not great. Typically in my runs, if I'm going to go to the boss stage at stage 5, I'll be out of here in about 37. Seems like a small difference, but it does matter quite a bit. Because it'll take me a few minutes just to get to him. I don't have a ton of movement speed. Okay, so my big problem here is going to be healing. No question. The medkits are nice, the slug is nice, but if I take a big hit and Mithrix is still coming at you, they're not going to do that much. So what I'm going to need to do is stay mobile, keep my distance from Mithrix whenever possible, easier said than done, and hope I get lucky. See what these printers have to offer. Yeah, these guys gotta go. You can see why. Hit scan enemies in this game, you should prioritize them whenever you can. You'll notice I always prioritize things like Wisps, Clay Templars, these guys. If you can't dodge them, then you have to kill them. You can't spend your time in this game hiding behind a wall waiting for their abilities to go on cooldown. And that's why they can't be trusted. Yeah, that death mark is doing so much damage right now. These guys, realistically, you could avoid them, but it's still kind of a risk, just in case they catch up to you from behind, and now you're all of a sudden dealing with a huge crowd of enemies on a stage where you're only built to deal with the final boss. So just take them out one at a time. You can see we're already going to lose 3 minutes before we've even reached the final boss. Now, if this were a normal run where I wasn't uploading to YouTube, I would probably not have done the final boss yet. I have decent items, but they're not great. There we go. There we go. And the reason I'm killing these guys so much faster is my Molten Perforator. It launches these magma orbs up into the air that land on them. It's a lot easier to land on those guys than it is the flying enemies. That's why it's been taking me longer to kill those flying enemies than the grounded enemies. In that case, the Molten Perforator hit the wall right above him, caused him to set on fire, and I was able to kill him much, much easier. Yep, see it procs right there. And dead. That is my hopes and dreams. Alright, so now we're going to keep fighting this guy here. Yep, Deathmark proc. Easy kill, easy life. On this side, you'll have lunar items. On that side, you'll have the printers that I was talking about. Let's check out the lunar items first. Gesture of the Drowned would be nice. Anything would be nice. Oh, it's over here. It's over here. There's lower gravity on this planet, so that's something you have to get used to. It doesn't matter a ton in the boss fight, but it actually is pretty helpful to jump and dodge him. That doesn't really do anything. That'll spawn enemies if I hit any kind of shrine, but I'm not going to be hitting shrines in a fight, so that's not anything I need to worry about. And our last thing is to just check out what kind of greens we're looking at. I could potentially take a red if it's really good, but I have very good green items that I don't want to risk losing. And as I say that, the 57 leaf clover is the single best item in the game. No question about it. So if you're not aware, anything that has a chance to happen in your favor and doesn't happen in your favor, it'll try one more time per stack. So let's say my crits don't go off, it'll try it again and see if it does. And I hope it doesn't remove my Deathmark proc, but I gotta do it. Okay, no Chrono Bubble. That's actually a significant loss. But it took 2 ukuleles, which is fine. I don't need them in the final boss. It took 1 Deathmark, which is okay. I still have another. It took an ATG, which is actually pretty bad, but I'll make do. Clover will be helpful in its own right. Let's see. I don't need anything else here, so we're gonna move on. Alright, we are going to take damage from this. I'm just trying to minimize it. Remember what I talked about with that roll? Look at speed, so roll. And there we go. Not too much damage from that. So I have 1 Hopoo feather, which I'll have to do. Actually, can I proc the Deathmark anymore? I don't think I can. Well, here we go. So this first stage is relatively simple, or it's straightforward, it's not easy. Yeah, does not look like I can get the Deathmark going. Unfortunate. But the trade-off is that look at all the bleeds going off. The 57 leaf clover is ensuring that happens. So he'll dash, he'll walk around for a bit, slide over, and now he's jumping over there. Alright, we're doing okay so far. Doing a good job of keeping my distance. That's exactly what you want to do against Mithrics. Sometimes it's good to just fall down. You can't use that Hopoo Feather after you've already used it, so now I can drop and choose to use it when he comes to me. See here, I'm kind of a sitting duck when I land. Good timing on the missile launcher. That was luck. Side-to-side movement is very helpful against the final boss. Nice teddy bear block. So with bleed since the 1.0 update, if he's bleeding and I apply any kind of bleed to him, it'll reset the bleed stack. So I was just trying to get hits on him however I could get them. Okay, so now he's going to spawn smaller enemies that I can fight. I'm going to use cover to my advantage. Take these guys out first because they'll spawn other enemies. And they'll do that. I don't have to worry too much about the grounded enemies. Now he's going after my gunner drone. And it might seem like a good idea to just let him and worry about other stuff. But the enemies will often go after the gunner drone. So if I can keep him alive, that's ideal. That's a valuable tool that I don't want to lose. Keep your buddies alive. No man left behind. Go ahead and use that. Alright, we do have another flying enemy I didn't notice, so let's go ahead and get rid of him first. Decent positioning, he's around a pillar, so I can use that to my advantage. He's done, so now I just have to clean up these guys. Notice they're not even attacking, but I'm still moving and jumping because you don't know when they're going to start. There's no benefit in standing still, just keep moving. Oh, so I was actually mistaken. I guess these guys will just spawn over time anyway. But doesn't matter. He's dead. So now we've got 2 more stages of Mithrix. Another more normal fight. And then he'll start to take my items. I'm not really even going to worry about that other guy unless Mithrix is gone. There's just not much of a point if I'm dodging his attacks. Alright, stay on the ground for this attack. It's a lot easier to dodge. Okay, so he's done with that now. I can start to move around more. Do a quick dodge. He'll miss. See, that was an instance where I just dropped. It was a lot easier because I know he's going to track me properly. Just drop, and then you can use your jumps again when you want to do so. Alright, we're doing pretty well right now. Those ukuleles helped a lot. Alright, I'm going to let myself drop again. I want to keep the bleed on him. We gotta move now. Alright, I don't want to kill him yet. Now the reason for that is that I want my missile launchers to come back up as he goes into the final round. They're gonna patch this soon. Well, not really patch. They're gonna buff him soon, so that way when he starts to take your items, he can't be damaged. But that is not the case yet, so as soon as he lands to take my items, I want to be able to use the missile launcher. So I'm clear to do that, and keep attacking. That was a very lucky dodge. Alright, so the first thing I should get back is the clover. Now, fortunately, he's very slow. He's not going to be teleporting around and flying at me in this. But after these attacks, he is going to start coming after me. Alright, got my white scrap back. There we go. I'm going to take my gunner drone. Hopefully Mithrix will target him a little bit. And I'm dead. So that's the trouble with Mithrix. I love that boss fight. It's not something I'm frustrating about dying over, but it's just a lot of fun. You got to know your items, because he'll then have those items. I should have been using my shift a lot more strategically. I should have been moving around smarter, keeping my distance better. But that's the beauty of this game. You learn every time. There's no penalty for dying. You just have fun with it. It's just a fun game. So that's going to do it for me. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you appreciated watching this. If you have any thoughts about it, leave a like or a comment. And yeah, until next time, I'm El Zombo.